Here's a number that should make every truck buyer uncomfortable. According to iSeeCars' 2025 study of nearly 400 million vehicles, the average pickup truck now has just a 13% chance of reaching 250,000 miles. That's down from almost 26% just 2 years ago. And yet there are 5 trucks on the market right now that are absolutely crushing those odds. Owners are pushing them past 300,000 miles, some past 400,000. One guy drove his past 1.5 million. But here's what kills me. Even if you buy the most bulletproof truck on the planet, there's one mistake that will destroy your engine faster than anything else. And most truck owners are making it right now without even knowing it. Let's get this out of the way first, because it doesn't matter what truck you drive if you're doing this wrong. Mistake number 1 that destroys your engine: stretching your oil changes. I know, you've heard it before. But hear me out, because the reason this kills engines is more brutal than most people realize. Your engine oil isn't just lubricant. It's a cooling system. It's a cleaning agent. It carries heat away from metal parts that are spinning thousands of times per minute with tolerances thinner than a human hair. When oil breaks down, and it does every single time, it turns into sludge. That sludge doesn't just sit there. It clogs oil passages. It starves your bearings of lubrication. Your pistons and cylinder walls start grinding metal on metal. Here's where it gets ugly. When that oil film breaks down completely, the metal parts in your engine can actually weld themselves together from the heat. That's called engine seizure. And at that point, you're looking at a full engine replacement. We're talking $8,000 to $15,000 on most trucks, sometimes more. And look, I get why people stretch their oil changes. Life gets busy. The truck seems fine. That little sticker on the windshield says 7,500 miles, and you think, hey, what's another 1,000? But that another 1,000 is where the damage compounds. Old oil doesn't just get a little worse. It accelerates the breakdown. The sludge builds on itself. Here's what the data actually says. Most manufacturers recommend oil changes every 5,000 to 7,500 miles for conventional oil, or 7,500 to 10,000 for full synthetic. But if you're towing, hauling, driving in extreme heat or cold, making a lot of short trips, and let's be honest, that describes most truck owners, you should be on the shorter end of that interval. Period. Think about it this way. An oil change costs you $50 to $100. A new engine costs you the price of a decent used car. The math isn't complicated. Now, let's talk about the trucks that, when you actually take care of them, will run longer than you ever thought possible. There's a guy named Mike Neal who bought a 2008 Toyota Tacoma brand new. He drives about 125,000 miles a year, and as of the last count, that Tacoma has over 1.6 million miles on it. The original engine held up for the vast majority of that. He replaced the transmission once, at 1.3 million miles. Toyota was so impressed, they actually invited him to their headquarters to study the truck. Now, is that normal? Of course not. But it tells you something about the engineering underneath this thing. The Tacoma has been one of the most reliable midsize trucks you can buy for over 2 decades. iSeeCars gives it an 8.5 reliability rating, making it the top-rated midsize truck in their analysis. About 2.8% of all Tacomas on the road right now have more than 200,000 miles on them. That doesn't sound like a lot until you realize the overall vehicle average is way below that. The third-generation Tacoma, particularly the 2016 through 2023 models, with the 3.5-liter V6, is an incredibly well-proven platform. That engine is naturally aspirated, no turbo to worry about, and it's paired with a 6-speed automatic or an available manual transmission. Fewer complex components means fewer things to break. Now, I'll be straight with you. The 2024 redesign brought a new turbocharged 4-cylinder and a hybrid option. The early reliability data on those is mixed. Consumer Reports actually flagged the newest Tacoma as having lower reliability scores than previous generations. That happens with major redesigns. New tech, new problems. So if you want the proven, time-tested Tacoma, look at the 2020 to 2023 model years. That's where the sweet spot is. You get the refined version of a platform Toyota had years to perfect. The trade-off. The Tacoma's interior has never been its strong suit. It's not luxurious. The ride is stiffer than a lot of competitors. But if you're buying a truck to last, not to impress your neighbors, this is the one. If the Tacoma is the midsize reliability king, the Tundra is its big brother wearing a crown. There's a guy named Victor Shepard who owns a 2007 Tundra that hit 1 million miles. And when Toyota studied it, you know what they found? Everything on that truck still worked except the sun visor detent on the driver's side. 1 million miles, and the biggest failure was a sun visor clip. That's almost insulting to every other truck manufacturer. The Tundra, specifically the second generation models from 2007 to 2021, with the 5.7-liter V8, is one of the most overbuilt full-size trucks ever produced. That engine, the 3UR-FE, is a naturally aspirated, port-injected V8 that Toyota basically designed to never die. No direct injection carbon buildup issues, no turbo failures, no timing chain tensioner nightmares. It just works. According to iSeeCars, the Tundra carries an 8.4 reliability rating for the full-size segment, the highest of any full-size truck. About 4% of all Tundras still on the road have cleared 200,000 miles, which is the highest percentage of any truck, period. Now here's the honest trade-off. The Tundra has never been the most fuel-efficient full-size truck. That 5.7 V8 is thirsty. You're looking at maybe 13 to 15 miles per gallon in mixed driving, and the pre-2022 interior felt about a decade behind the Ram 1500 and even the F-150. The third-generation Tundra that launched for 2022 brought a twin-turbo V6 and a hybrid option. It's a much more modern truck. But just like with the Tacoma, reliability data on the newest platform is still developing. Consumer Reports actually listed the newer Tundra as one of the least reliable large trucks for 2025, though much of that comes down to electronic and infotainment glitches rather than mechanical failures. My recommendation: if you want proven, long-haul Tundra reliability, hunt for a 2018 to 2021 model with the 5.7. You'll pay more than you'd expect because these things hold their value like gold bars. But you're getting a truck that's been proven across millions of miles by real owners. Alright, this one's going to ruffle some feathers. But stick with me. The Honda Ridgeline is, statistically, one of the most reliable trucks you can buy, and most truck buyers completely ignore it. Here's why it gets dismissed. It's built on a unibody platform, same basic architecture as the Honda Pilot, instead of a traditional body-on-frame design. So the truck community looks at it and says, that's not a real truck. And if your definition of a truck is something that can crawl over boulders and tow 12,000 pounds, then yeah, the Ridgeline isn't for you. But if your definition of a truck is something that hauls your stuff, handles daily life, and never leaves you stranded, pay attention. The Ridgeline comes standard with a 3.5-liter V6 and all-wheel drive. That V6 is the same engine Honda uses across half their lineup: the Pilot, the Passport, the Odyssey. It's been refined over years and years. It's one of the most proven powertrains in the industry. iSeeCars data shows that about 3.7% of all Ridgelines on the road have passed 200,000 miles. That's actually higher than the Tacoma. Consumer Reports consistently rates it among the most reliable trucks available. J.D. Power gives it strong quality scores. The Ridgeline has a maximum lifespan that owners regularly push to 250,000 to 400,000 miles. And because it rides like an SUV rather than a traditional truck, there's less wear and tear on suspension components, less vibration stress on the chassis, and a generally easier life for the mechanical bits. The trade-offs are real though. Towing capacity maxes out around 5,000 pounds. The payload isn't huge, it doesn't look tough. And it's not cheap. The Ridgeline's starting price is higher than a lot of mid-size competitors. But for people who need a truck bed, want Honda reliability, and couldn't care less about off-road bragging rights, this thing is a secret weapon. This one surprised me, honestly. The Ford Ranger has gone through a lot. Ford pulled it from the market entirely from 2012 to 2018, brought it back in 2019 as a midsize, then completely redesigned it again for 2024. That's a lot of change in a short time. And usually, that's a recipe for reliability problems. But here's what happened. Consumer Reports named the Ford Ranger the most reliable truck for 2025. Not the Tacoma, not the Tundra, the Ranger. Now let's unpack that a little. The redesigned 2024 Ranger came with a refreshed version of the 2.3-liter EcoBoost turbocharged 4-cylinder. Ford addressed the cam phaser issues that plagued earlier EcoBoost engines and reworked the head gasket design. They also swapped out the old 10R80 transmission, which had a reputation for rough shifting and reliability headaches, for the new 10R60. Early owner reports on the updated drivetrain have been largely positive. RepairPal gives the Ranger a 4 out of 5 reliability rating with an average annual repair cost of around $6,000. That's competitive for the segment. And Ford's 2.3 EcoBoost, when properly maintained, has shown itself to be a solid engine across multiple platforms. Here's the trade-off you need to know about. Ford's electronic systems, infotainment, sensors, software, have a track record of generating more complaints than the mechanical side. The 2025 Ranger has already seen multiple recalls, mostly related to software glitches and electronic components rather than engine or transmission failures. If you're someone who gets frustrated by dashboard warnings and Bluetooth connectivity issues, that's worth considering. But from a will this engine and transmission get me to 200,000 miles standpoint, the current Ranger is looking strong. Ford's been building Rangers since 1983, and the institutional knowledge shows in the mechanical fundamentals. Here's the one nobody expects on a reliability list, but the data tells an interesting story. The Chevrolet Silverado 1500 ranked highest in vehicle dependability among large light-duty pickups in J.D. Power's 2025 study. It also tied for highest in initial quality. That's not an opinion. That's survey data from thousands of actual owners. Now, why does this surprise people? Because GM trucks have a reputation for being solid, but not spectacular. They're the truck you see in every work fleet, every construction site parking lot, every suburban driveway. They're everywhere, and that ubiquity sometimes works against their perception. But think about what that ubiquity actually means. The Silverado's 5.3-liter V8, the L84 with dynamic fuel management, is one of the most produced truck engines in history. GM has been refining pushrod V8s for decades. The parts are everywhere. Any mechanic can work on them. And when something does wear out, the repair costs are generally lower than competitors because of sheer parts availability. Fleet managers figured this out years ago. When you're running hundreds of trucks and tracking every repair dollar, the Silverado consistently shows up as a cost-effective workhorse. It's not the most exciting truck to talk about, but boring, in the world of reliability, is a compliment. The trade-offs? GM's infotainment systems, while much improved, still draw complaints. The 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that's available on lower trims has had mixed reliability reviews. I'd recommend sticking with the 5.3 V8 if longevity is your priority. And the interior quality, while better than it used to be, still doesn't match what Ram offers in the 1500. But if you want a full-size truck that's affordable to buy, affordable to maintain, easy to find parts for, and backed by decades of engineering refinement, the Silverado earns its spot here. So here's what ties all 5 of these trucks together. Every single one of them can be destroyed by poor maintenance.